Welcome back, guys. We are back here to work on the Xterra project. There's the engine down there. Beautiful beast back here. As you can see out here, the snow is drying up. We got the car down here. So yeah, that makes it a lot easier to not have to be doing trips back and forth up to the house and back a bunch of times to carry our tools and parts down here. If you guys haven't checked out the other videos yet, be sure to go check those out. We did those at the beginning of summer, or at the beginning of winter. But be sure to check those out. That was us dismantling the old engine and finding out that it was all broken. So yeah, be sure to go check those out, and then let's go ahead and start on this. Let's get this into here. We're gonna see about getting this engine lifted up on the hoist so we can work on it, and then we got a whole list of parts to change. So let's dive right into it. Starting to get a little warm, so we're gonna take the jacket off. There we go, engine is now off of the pallet and onto the jack stands. You can see there. We got it under both the engine mounts, so this one, it looks like they cut it to get the engine out. So we're gonna have to replace that. And under the front crank, hopefully we're not damaging anything. A little bit off-centered there, but oh well. And then on that side there, just double check. It's a little sketchy there. So the first thing we want to do is start, let's make a list of everything we want to do. I call it the roadkill style list, because roadkills, well, I doubt they started it, but they're the ones on the internet that do it all the time. So what you need for this is an old box of some sort, some piece of cardboard, and you need a Sharpie and or a knife to rip it, cut it. Doesn't really matter. We're just gonna, you know, let's not even use a knife. Oops, drop it, why don't you? So let's just rip a big panel off of here. There we go. We got a nice big piece of cardboard that we can start writing stuff down on. So we got our Sharpie. Now let's just start noting that stuff down that we see first thing on this engine that needs to be done. So it's not in any particular order. This is just as we see it. We need to get it done. We got spark plugs. So, okay, spark plugs. There's the first one. What else have we got? We need to change that broken engine mount. We have new exhaust going on, down headers. We're going to need a new flywheel. Well, the old one will do wherever it is, but flywheel. I'll put clutch next to it in brackets because that's the same thing, clutch. Oil pan. The oil pans are different. This is obviously from a front wheel drive vehicle, probably a minivan over in Japan. Whereas this is a all-wheel drive. This is an all-wheel drive but rear-wheel biased engine mount. And the oil pan actually has a big, huge notch in it It's hidden under the table, I won't get it out. But it's got a big huge notch in it for the front axle. So unless we're putting a crazy lift kit on it, we need to put that on so we have the clearance. So oil pan. Since we have access, I'd like to paint the valve covers. I'm not sure if we're going to get to that, but we'll put it on here. It would also allow us to see what's underneath it. We got to remove the engine fan because we actually have electronic fans on this engine. Look at that. Our list is already getting pretty big. We're almost out of cardboard, so we might need more pieces. Maybe I'm writing too big. Remove all the old coolant hoses. Oh, on this engine, on the JDM engine, the alternator and power steering are on the wrong sides, so we actually got to swap those, and the brackets likely. So, alt, bracket. Now that I'm actually looking at this, I'd really like to just get a supercharger and put it on. We were gonna throw it in just like this, NA. I don't really like it like that, so maybe we might just bite the bullet and get a supercharger. I know someone that has a used one, so maybe we'll grab the supercharger off of him, throw it on here, and get some injectors coming in, and then maybe we'll be in business. Just squeeze a little bit more power out of it. So I'm just gonna take a walk around the engine. Right, I just remembered that we got to do the timing belt, so that'll require a little bit of disassembly on the front. So what I'm learning as I'm looking over this engine is this really isn't a drop-in engine. You're buying the internals of this thing because they have just yanked it out of the vehicle. It's in every single hose is cut, every bracket is bent. They haven't cared about any of it. The $1,000 I paid, actually it was $1,200 I ended up paying in the end, for this engine is gonna cost you a lot more if you didn't have one already. Which is why I'm kind of leaning towards going back to the supercharger model, because everything on here is garbage. And I have everything here for the supercharged one. I just need a better supercharger and some new injectors, and we should be okay. Yeah, so that being said, this is from JDM Quality. They are based out of Ontario, I believe. Yeah, so when you get an engine from them, be prepared that it's not a drop-in. It is just, be prepared to have to add everything onto it. And I think most places are like that unless you're paying a really good price for your engine. So just be aware of that if you're ever buying a used engine. So I think this is a pretty good sized list to start with. As we start tearing stuff apart, rebuilding stuff, you guys aren't seeing me at all. So as we're starting to tear stuff apart and rebuild it, we might find more stuff to add to this. And I haven't included any of the small stuff like adding oil, adding coolant. So this is a first step list. We're gonna start with all this. Let's just add supercharger. With a question mark. So let's start with all this and start ripping into it, and then later on we'll make a second list which gets down all the little details like adding oil, installing in, adding coolant, routing lines, routing coolant lines, and all that. So yeah, let's dive right into it. Today we're going to start hopefully with this one for the headers. So let's talk exhaust systems. What is an exhaust header? An exhaust header is what bolts onto your cylinder head. It's right after the combustion. So right after everything goes kaboom in the cylinder, it comes out of the head and straight into the headers or exhaust manifolds. And then that usually bolts onto your downpipe, your cats, whatever, your whole exhaust system. This is what came off of it. Let's see if you guys can see that. 3 cylinders per side. You can see how it comes straight up and goes a complete 90 and squished here. It's very, very narrow. And then anything coming out of here has to go in and then turn around back here, mix with all the stuff back here. So that's not really a great design. So we bought in aftermarket headers. Now these are just headers. There are longer styles, there are more professional styles. These are just a cheap set off of eBay. So here they are. And you can see how, I keep looking over here. You can see how every single exhaust has its own pipe, right? So they all come out and they merge into one pipe here. Now if you want to get down to the really fine details, a lot of people say on a naturally aspirated engine or even a supercharged engine, you actually want all of these tubes to be the exact same length for the best performance. Here you can obviously, they don't have that. One's long here, one's short here. You can't see it. One's long here, okay? The other one is super short right there. So obviously they're not the craziest headers in the world, but they're definitely gonna be better than this. I'm gonna estimate, now we haven't dynoed it beforehand, but we can check out what the stock performance figures are, but I'm gonna estimate that this probably adds in the neighborhood of 10-20 horsepower. You know, comment it below if I'm wrong on that, let me know. But that's my guess. It's not a very powerful engine, but that's gonna create a lot more flow than that old piece. So 10-20 horse, that's pretty good for an engine that only had like 170 horsepower. So if we added 20 horse, that's a big margin. The supercharged one had probably the neighborhood of 205 horsepower, so 10-20 horse, that's pretty good. So yeah, so let's see if these will bolt on. Okay, so you can actually see here, this is the stock one off the Xterra, the supercharged one. This is one I pulled off the Japanese engine. It actually has pretty good flow, although they still combine into each other, which can create some turbulence. And the last one is our eBay one, which obviously has the 3 separate pipes and they all join right there, which in the end is going to be the best design out of all 3 of these. If we have a look over at the exhaust flanges, we have one that has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that last one that is actually different on the new ones. So we're gonna have to take the stud out of here and switch it so we can use it that way. So it's been designed so you can use it both ways. I'm not sure which one uses which, but the new ones are the other directions. Now if you guys are at home and you don't have the proper tools to get a stud off, you can double nut it by doing something like this. Let's see if it'll focus. That's where you put one nut on all the way and the other one on the rest of the way, and you tighten these two against each other, and it stretches the stud just enough to give you grip to pull this thing off. So now that it's off, we can install it in the one hole that we want it in now. And same thing, you can use that for that same method for tightening. Now to get it off, you're just going to need a wrench. And there we go. And there we we go, just a little bit of help from a piece of wood and we got that into place, just like that. So as you do with a set of eBay headers, one of the holes, actually two of the holes, are just slightly off. We might have to pull this back off, take it to the shop, and just oval those holes ever so slightly so it'll fit a little nicer, because I can't get that one last stud in. So yeah, this is gonna have to come back off, but it looks so good. Look at that. Look how nice that looks. That is so pretty. We couldn't quite get that manifold on today. One of the holes is slightly oblonged, but that's what you get when you order parts on eBay. You get what you pay for. I bought a set of headers for like $100. So just be expected whenever you order stuff on eBay. It might be the quality's okay. It's just the fitment might need to be modified, and that goes for almost any aftermarket parts you buy. You know, they might need to be changed just ever so slightly for your engine. So we're just packing it up for today because the sun's going down, losing our daylights in a shop with no power. So we're just gonna pick up the oil pan. I don't know if you can see that. Too dark. Take it off to work, get it cleaned up, and take that header over and get it drilled up, and then yeah, we'll be right back tomorrow. Might still be in this vlog. We'll see you then.